Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Leadership Conversations with Bukky, where we explore the stories and strategies of diverse leaders shaping our world. Today, I'm delighted to welcome Kathleen Cushnie, an experienced deputy head teacher, previously an acting head teacher, and an advocate for leadership. And talking about leadership, we know, I think our paths have actually crossed in
Yeah.
woman ed in various different spaces. So,
Mhm.
in that regard, I'd like to actually use this opportunity to explore how Kathleen champions diversity. So, Kathleen, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for inviting me on, Bukky.
Thank you for accepting. So let's kick off with your journey, your professional journey. Now, you spent over 18 years in education, from classroom teaching to deputy headship, as well as interim headship. Which particular moments have shaped your leadership style the most?
It's a good question. So, yeah, for over 18 years in education. So, I started off obviously as a NQT, worked my way up from middle leader, and now as a senior leader as a deputy head. We've also done interim headship. And I'd say, when I think about what has influenced me the most, my leadership the most, from the beginning, when I was training actually to be a teacher, I had an experience where I was working in a not so diverse school, and I saw quite quickly how if you're not really supported by people that have, understand your experiences, you can feel very lonely, and you may not be able to progress as well as you could. Now, I'm talking about being in a school where I was just on teaching practice, so it was just 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it felt like an eternity because I just wasn't understood. And when I was trying to explain how I was feeling and how certain situations was making me feel, it didn't land because they just didn't understand.
Mm.
So I quickly learned then that, just because you may be different to others, it's really important to be an empathetic leader and be able to understand them. And that's where the power of leadership, I think, comes, through shaping cultures and outcomes, through understanding how others feel. And I think if you can't sit in empathy, then you can't really lead. I think it's really important because that's at the heart of leadership for me.
Mhm.
And, you can't lead if you don't understand. So, although I wasn't a leader from that, from the beginning in my teaching year, no, it was training year actually, in my training year, I learned quite quickly, like, I don't want to be like I really don't want to be like that. I just
Right.
thought, you know what, if I become a leader, I want to be empathetic because I'm an empathetic person anyway. So I just thought, well, they're not really understanding life. And it made me realize the importance of really understanding where somebody is. You can't just have a sweeping statement. I remember a comment that was said to me, it's more than just having everything, because I'm organized, it was like, it's more than just the folders, kind of dismissive. Like, okay, well,
Not very encouraging.
not very encouraging. So I had no kind of support, no one that kind of could empathize with me and, to spell it out, they looked different than me. And
Mhm.
the whole school experience was like that. So
Mm.
anyway, I got through the 3 weeks and that was that. So I knew quite quickly from not being a leader, from seeing how leadership was modeled to me, how I knew I didn't want to be. Another experience that I had was when I was working with, I just started in a new school and I just become a senior leader. So it was quite a new team. The school was in a place where it needed development. So there was a lot of change and transition that had to happen. And I quickly learned that it was important to be working as a team, even though we're new, forming those secure relationships and then just working together through the communication, valuing each other's contribution, building that trust, and the importance of building relationships, not just within your team, but with
Mm.
others outside and modeling that as well. So then, the people that you're leading, the colleagues and everything can see that being modeled because it's really hard. What I realized then, it was really hard coming in as a leader and to a school and then not knowing you, they have to build up the trust.
Of course.
And, you know, I quickly realized that all I can do is be myself. So, you know,
Yeah.
think about authentic leadership. But the crucial thing there was working together as a team and through that
Hmm.
communication. So it was that clear communication, the consistency, and the trust that helped to build and kept us all focused really, and motivated because it was tough. It was
Yeah.
tough.
No,
So yeah.
thank you so much for sharing that. And it's really interesting. I think that a lot of people can actually recognize a similar experience when leadership isn't done well to you and you decide to go forward into leadership. You think, right, this is how I'm going to be as a leader because of, the negative impact experience. And I love what you said in the second example about the importance of, even though it was a new leadership team, how you had to model to be a team for other staff as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, you touched very briefly upon authentic leadership. So my next question to you is this: you often speak about amplifying your voice and
Mhm.
helping others to do the same. What does authentic leadership mean to you in practice, and how can teachers begin to develop it?
Well, I think it's interesting to start with what authentic leadership is. So to me, it's about leading from your values, right? So for me, being an authentic leader is leading from my values. One of my values is being empathetic, and surprise, surprise, being empathetic and being consistent with that. Whether I'm in a meeting, whether I'm in a classroom, whether I'm in a playground talking to a parent, I am empathetic. And you know, sometimes where, okay, I work in a school and education's all to do with, you know, relationships and everything like that. But I value the kind of the foundation and the importance of building a relationship much more than what the data says. That's just me as a person.
That
So
is
for me,
interesting. That's interesting to hear.
yeah, so for me, it's about being authentic. For me, is being empathetic, being strong in that, regardless of what's happening around me. So with that self-awareness, you know, I'm always showing up in, you know, being develop my integrity all of the time. So, for example, if something happens, I always think about the person. So, you know, like when you train to be a coach, they always say, coach the person, not the thing that they bring to you. It's always about the person. When I'm making decisions, it's about the person. And more, I just think that's so important because then people are able to relate to you. So, you know, even when I'm making difficult decisions, you know, can I stand in my authentic leadership? And that comes from the empathy. Why am I doing it? So it always goes back to the why as well. Why am I making this decision? It's always about the kids. So obviously working in education, it's about the kids. So if I'm making a decision, if I can come back to why I'm doing it, it's about the children. I'm cool. If I can empathize how someone else may feel in that situation, I can adapt my language to that. If I'm remaining who I am and what I
Mhm.
believe in, it's fine.
Mhm.
So all of those three things are important for me when I'm leading. And yeah, I always have to be authentic. Hasn't always been that way, but
Yeah.
you know, I've realized that, you know, if I'm not leading or being myself, sometimes I don't think I just showing up at work and doing what I do. I'm not thinking I'm a leader, like the title. Do you know, oh, I'm a leader today. I'm being authentically. Do you know what I mean? No, I'm at work and it is embedded, isn't it? All I'm doing
Mm.
is being myself. I happen to be a leader and I'm also living through my values. That's how it works for me. That's how it works
Okay.
for me. So yes, in terms of in practice, what it looks like, I'm very transparent. So let me think of an example. So, for example, if someone asked me a question and they like, Kathleen, you know, well, people tend to come to me for this anyway, you know, like certain things, if they're feeling uneasy about something, they say, Kathleen, da 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 da, what do you think? So I always throw it back to them, well, what do you think? Well, I think this, and this. Okay, so why are you thinking that? What's making you think that? Okay, I can tell you what I think, but it's not about what I think, it's about where you're coming from and what you're going to do about it. Then I kind of get them to think about, well, why do you think you need to make that decision? And where is that coming from? Zooming into kind of, you've got the decision,
Mhm.
and then zooming out sometimes to getting people to understand where that decision come from. So that why that decision's been made. And I think sometimes when I'm talking to people and they say, yeah, but Kathleen, why did da 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 da? Because sometimes you live in their,
Yeah,
silo.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
silo. And I was
Mm,
like, well, I understand where you're coming from, but think about that. This is the decision that's been made. If we just zoom out a little bit, that's a decision, but this is the why. Remember why we're all here. We're here for the children, aren't we? And sometimes when you say that, they think that it's just a kind of a throwaway phrase, like, oh, we're doing it for the children, like it's like almost like a scapegoat phrase to kind of get away with the decision.
it almost sounds as though it's not quite meaningful, really, in that regard. If you don't,
Yeah.
if you're not connected to it, it's as you say, yeah, it's just a throwaway
Yeah.
phrase.
Yeah, it's 100%. So I always think, yeah, this is a decision. We zoom out. The why is because the children need da, 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 da.
Hmm.
Do you understand why that's a decision? Yeah, but and then I'll zoom out again. So if that didn't happen, then this would happen. This would be what the consequence would be. So then zoom back into the decision. So that's why the decision was made.
I love that
Okay.
telescoping. Yeah.
Yeah, just pulling out sometimes back in, in and
Mm,
out, just so I can see the bigger picture because, often, leaders are making those difficult decisions and quickly as well, considering all of these things. But because while you're obviously people are just looking at you and not seeing all of the things firing off, all the other things that are going on. They don't
absolutely.
understand it. So when I do make decisions, and I think me being me and showing up and being empathetic, I always try to make sure that people understand, and I do that in my practice. Because when they understand like your journey, your mistakes, and also knowing that I make mistakes,
Hmm.
oh yeah, I did do that. Do you know what? I won't do that again. So let's scrap that, but let's learn from that. Next time, remind me, and I say that as well, next time, remind me because it might happen again because I'm making decisions really quickly. Just remind me, it's okay.
Hmm.
Like, we make
Hmm.
mistakes, it's all right. So I'll kind of model that process as well, model my thinking to people as well. Like if they come to me, "Duh, duh, 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 duh," I'll just do it. Hold on. 1 minute, 1 minute. And I just pause, like, I don't have to be firing back at you straight away.
How do you manage expectations? Obviously, everyone's got expectations about what a leader is, what authentic leadership and things like that. How do you manage it so that people recognize this is your leadership style and it's still powerful? Not that, some people think, okay, you've got to be direct and dictatorial and do this and do that. How do
Mm.
you manage those particular type of expectations with what they may have in their mind or experiences of what a good leader is, and how you portray yourself?
That's a good question. Now, because I'm going to have to kind of go inside to kind of think, how do I manage that? I think it is just by being myself. I think that that is the answer. And I might sound kind of like cop out, but I can only be who I am.
Yes.
Do you see what I mean? So
Yes.
if I'm like I'm saying I'm empathetic, if someone comes to me and they have like I say an issue, I just say, well, okay, I understand. But this decision was made because of this and this. So I try and understand where they're coming from, and I try and meet them halfway. So in terms of the expectations, I'm not I'm directive, but I'm empathetic with it, Like I know what kind of the goal is and the vision. So yes, I'll be able to get there, but I kind of bring people along with me because through building up that trust in the relationships. And I think that just comes from natural conversation and the connection, which I really believe in.
Hmm.
So in terms of expectations, the expectations come from that. It's because I'm always doing that. So that is the
Mm.
expectation. So the expectation is this is how I always am. You're not going to get a different, like a different version of me,
Hmm.
like next week because whatever.
Oh, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I love how you've put with that, you put the openness and honesty and obviously the trust as well as the vulnerability. The empathy obviously is at the heart of that, and bringing people along with you as well. But I
Yeah.
thought it was really also powerful about how you said about you trying to understand other people's perspectives as well
Yeah.
as the telescoping. This is the decision. Let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture and then go back into it so you can understand the context. I love that.
Yeah. And there's a really good quote that I heard from Simon Sinek, actually, that he said, we build trust not by offering help, but asking for it. And when I
Ooh,
heard that, I was
okay.
thinking, wow, I paused it. right? I paused there. I'm thinking, yeah, he's right. So then I thought about a situation where the trust was built when I asked for the help.
Hmm.
And I thought, yeah, it's true. When I asked for help at that point, it built the trust through the other person because they realized that one, I was being vulnerable,
Yes.
right? Two, then they were able to help me. So it kind of had that kind of two-way relationship where they thought, okay, she's asked for help. That means she's vulnerable. She's being vulnerable. I'm honored that she's
Hmm.
asked me for help.
Hmm.
That builds that kind of trust.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
it works the other way. Whereas before, when you hear a quote and you think, yeah, that lands really well, that's exactly it. Because before you think, okay, I'm gonna offer this person help, offer that person help, they're gonna trust me, they're gonna trust me, they're gonna trust me. But really, actually, when you think about it, when you offer and ask for the help, it means that you're trusting that person to help you, especially when you're a leader, because people think that everyone's got it all together, which we clearly haven't.
Yeah. We're human beings at the end of the day.
They need to be honest about that.
No, I
Yeah.
love that. Kathleen, thank you so much. And we've already gone deep as well. We then just start with the questions. Now, again, linking back to what you said about connections and conversations, you believe that leadership is about conversations and connections. Can you share a time when a single conversation shifted the course of your leadership or someone else's? What made the conversation so powerful?
Yeah, so obviously, yeah, I believe in the quality of conversations. And this example was one of those, it was feedback. So it wasn't a conversation as such. Now, when I did my NPQSL, I got the feedback and I read it. All right, so just context. I'm enthusiastic and I like ideas and I get excited about things and so on, right?
I understand that completely.
So the feedback was, and it was this question, have you ever considered what it's like to be led by you? When I first read that, and let me just explain as well, it took about 2 or 3 years for this to land with me, right? For me to actually get it.
Whoa.
So when I read it, I was thinking, have you ever considered? Oh yeah, I have. Yeah, it must be great. Like, yeah, I motivate people, get people engaged, I thought, yeah, this is it. Yeah, of course I thought about how people, yeah, they must enjoy it. Took 2 or 3 years, I would say. When I read all the time, when you're going through cleaning up files and stuff. So I was like, oh, my feedback. And I read it again. Same question hit me
Mm,
differently. Have you
mm,
considered how others feel by being led by you? And I thought, you know what? At that point, a lot was going on, and I realized that when I read that the first time, it was all about this, as I was fast and everything. It must be extremely overwhelming to be led by someone that's always thinking this idea, this idea. Yeah, come on, come on, come on. Do you know what I mean? If you're not like that.
yeah.
So through that, when I read it again, I laughed to myself and I was thinking, wow, I'm the same person with the same values, the same ideas, but the difference was that I understood what that feedback was saying to me. Although it was written and it wasn't conversation, it landed, which is the importance
Mm,
of actually written feedback because people do return to it. The same question had a different impact. And it
mhm.
made me realize because I'd come a bit further along in my leadership, because remember, I got that feedback before I was actually, no, you don't remember, but the context was I got
Yeah.
that, I got that feedback before I actually started my assistant head role. So when I was reading it back, I was now in the deputy headship, and I
Right.
realized, well, actually, yeah, I thought it was all about the ideas, yeah, showing this, showing that, and whatever. But when I realized, I was thinking, no, you've got to bring people along, like you said, bring people
Exactly.
along with you, not just a boom, 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 charge this, and this. So yeah, that. Although it wasn't a conversation, it was a feedback to me really changed me and it did. So when I read it second time, it stopped me in my tracks. And
Yeah.
it made me think, yeah, you need to slow down. And slowing down is a source of motivation. You don't, everything has to be fast paced. You've got to allow
Correct.
people time to think, to process, you know.
Yeah. And
Um,
in
So
that as well, I'm thinking about the different styles of leadership, and they've all got a place, they've all got a time
mm,
and place with relevant, but you're so right about allowing people to walk with you. I think that's the key thing, rather than going from our natural default. Because when you said about, like the detail, I get that, but is it right for your colleagues? Is it right for that moment in time? Is it
yeah,
right for that particular season? And I think that's experience. It's interesting you said about the fact that you got the feedback before you went into leadership, and it's when you became a deputy head teacher that it landed, because you've got the experience of being a leader. You can put it into context and see it from a
yeah.
different perspective.
Yeah. So it's that giving others space to feel heard and to
Mm.
contribute, which is so important, rather than this idea, that idea, this idea. It's not, no.
Why do you believe teaching oracy is so vital for young people? And how does it connect to leadership development for teachers?
Well, oracy, I think, and I'll answer this from my perspective and go back a bit. Now, obviously, I set up Voice in Education, and the reason behind that is because I want to give um or encourage others to use their voice. Now, this is me setting it up for middle leaders to use their voice. Now, imagine if we all had oracy when we were in school, started from primary school, secondary school, and so on. We'd be able to use those tools so effectively and be able to advocate for things and stand up for ourselves and, champion things for people, move things on in a completely different way than what we're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So in terms of oracy, it is a crucial skill. So it's really good that the Oracy Education Commission set that kind of standard and everything. And like they're saying, towards that their line is towards an oracy entitlement for every child. Well, of course, of course, every child should be taught, that's the crucial thing. It's not Obviously, it's not just about encouraging them to talk in the classroom. No, they need to be taught how to talk, how to communicate, the
Hmm.
listening, the understanding, responding to what's actually said. Because a lot of children and adults too, when someone's talking, you just listen. I mean, you're not really listening to what's being said.
Exactly.
And those skills, I think, should be taught. And for all children, because we know it's happened in private schools where they're taught to stand up and present. But the key thing there, I think, really is the listening. It's the listening that's important. Listening to what others are saying, listening to their contributions, offering your responses in a respectful way. Our children are taught the sentence stems. I respectfully disagree with you, and I want to build on you by saying this. So in my school, we're a centre of excellence, and we teach the children how to listen, how to respond, how to build, how to clarify, how to probe. Oh, what are you saying there? And we've got all these actions and so on. And it's so good because we're doing it for so long now, when you see them get to like year 5 or 6,
Mm.
it is fantastic because they're having these conversations. You're thinking, oh my goodness, especially when they're naturally doing it. So in the dining hall, um, we had a child that was respectfully disagreeing with the dinner lady. And I was like, oh my goodness, right. This is great, but it's really good. I think that oracy has to be taught not just for academic success, but for the social skills for our pupils. And it really is the foundation for developing confidence and giving all children an opportunity to succeed later in life. Like we all know, right? The world is changing. Well, it's changed and is
Mm.
continuing to change and evolve. Right?
Hmm.
We all need to be able to converse. And I think sadly, sometimes communicating like this is starting to dwindle, isn't it? Because a lot of teenagers are like this and on the devices. So we've got to keep the oracy going.
And I love about the fact you said actually it's not just for academic success, but it's life skills.
Hmm.
Absolutely. So again, changing tact again in the conversation. Now, many educators today feel burnt out or overwhelmed, and I think in the last few years that has become increasingly so. So, I wanted
Mm.
to speak about the coaching work that you do, and from your coaching work, what strategies have proven most effective in helping teachers to regain balance and clarity?
I think one of the main things straight away is when I'm coaching, sometimes I say to them, right, in the coaching thing, you may come with, like I said before, you may come with something, but often the thing that you come with, there might be things underlying,
Yeah.
talk about your values and so on, why it's important to you. So one of the things that I realize, and I say to middle leaders coaching or other leaders actually, is just understand that you're never going to get everything done.
That's the reality.
That's where we're starting. You're never going to get everything done. And once you get comfortable with that, everything's okay. You know, you can only do your best. So one of the things that I do to help teachers with overload is understanding the importance of balance. So if you know you're not going to get everything done, how can you balance your life to ensure that, what needs to get done at that time can get done? Let's just narrow it down again, back to that target board, right? So today, what's important? What's important for you to get done? What's important for your class? What's important, is that taking it out again? What's important? What's going to affect that decision? Can you do something that will impact that and lessen that workload? Have you filled yourself up first? Have you filled yourself up with? Well, only one assistant heads came to me and she said, "Oh, I just got so much to do. I've got all these people. I've got to manage this amount." I said, "Yeah, but when you come in, do you give yourself some time first, or like if someone comes into you and you come in the morning, just sit down and just stop, just for a minute, and just think mentally, what is it I've got to do today? Have 3 things to do. If you get 2 done, you're amazing. If you don't get the other one done, it's fine."
Yeah.
We have to be kind to ourselves. So I encourage that. I encourage them not to kind of beat themselves up. I know this sounds awful, but it's the reality, isn't it? We're all humans. Many of us have been there. You're not the only one there, and you will never be the only one that's always there. Because some people feel that they're always going to be in that situation, don't they?
Yeah, yeah.
No
And
one's
that's part of the
always.
overwhelm as well, though, isn't it?
Yeah, no one's always overwhelmed. It's a small amount of time that you can work through, but you just got to build it down into small chunks. That umbrella of overwhelm is just so powerful. But when you actually think about it, like, I'm going to do this bit, that bit leads to that, so I can get that bit done. I can lead that to that, I can get that bit done. And so one of the practical solutions that I offer really, or suggestions, is to journal, to empty their mind. Some people may be into meditating, and in the good old one, just exercise. Exercise, run or do whatever it is that makes them feel alive.
Yeah.
Because when you're overwhelmed, you just feel like, it's all coming down on you. It's just too much. But you need to do whatever it is for you to make you feel alive. And remember that you are a person first.
Yes,
Okay?
as the wonderful Mary Myatt says, we are humans first and teachers stroke educators stroke leaders second. And I think that's a really good priority to make. I also
Yeah.
love how in your initial response to the question, you have provided a priority framework. What's important for you now for your class, and you build it out. And I think that prioritizing is really key, and being realistic about what you can actually do with the time
Yeah.
stroke energy that you've actually got, I think is really powerful.
Yeah, it's that clarity of purpose, isn't it? So, understanding why you're doing that task. Because a lot of people that sometimes get themselves caught up busy being busy.
Yeah, yeah.
Why is it you're doing that? Then
Mm,
building in that boundaries and that rhythm of the boundaries as well. Not
Oh, I
just,
love that rhythm of the boundaries. What can you
yeah.
explain? What do you mean by that?
So being consistent with your boundaries, like so people understand if you're working it's like, say, for example, you're leading a team and 1 minute you're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, come in, tell me." Then the next day they come to you because they're all like, "Yeah, I want to need to get," and you're like, "No, no, not today, not today." Build that rhythm of the boundaries. So, okay, they know they can come to you, but not at this time.
Hmm.
This time in the morning when I come in, just give me 15 minutes. I just need to process, look at my day, think about what's going on.
Hmm.
Then you can come to me. If you say to them, like, for example, this time after school, come and see me between these 45 minutes. can ask me anything. It's fine. But you know, around this time, I'm just working on this. Or if you see my door shut and I'm on
Yeah.
the phone, please don't stand outside because I have that. Please don't stand outside because I can't rush the phone call to talk to you, and then we both are creating some sort of unease. So,
Mm.
you know, just having those natural boundaries that are consistent. And I think that keeping that rhythm so everyone knows where they stand and being clear about it, really. I think there's no harm with expressing your boundaries. We all have them.
I
It's
love that. And I love how, you just it's basically allowing people to know when to approach, when to ask, when to do whatever it is, and when you're out of bounds as well. I think that good leaders are excellent at doing that.
Yeah,
Mm.
and not feeling guilty for it because some
Hmm.
people can do it, but then they carry the guilt. You know, I think if you're going to put up the boundary, we have to get comfortable with doing that.
You speak on thriving through challenging times.
Mm.
What personal practices or leadership choices have helped you stay resilient in moments of uncertainty?
Okay. I think it's me turning inwards. So, in order to thrive and make decisions within, you know, when I was doing this isn't about me doing an interim headship.
Mhm.
What I realized is that, you know, I had to slow down,
Yeah.
first of all. I had to turn inwards and actually trust myself. So I think the importance of knowing yourself, that having that self-awareness of who you are, reminding yourself of why you're there, or
Mhm.
why I was there, why I was doing what I was doing was very important. Now, every time it came to making a decision, I just think, you know, sometimes there was so much noise, and I had to think, actually, I'm doing this for this. Okay. Going back to the empathy, going back to the values, the why, the children, the children, children. Yeah, okay. So I make this decision, just slowing down. It literally,
Mm.
even like talking about it, I'm slowing down as I'm saying it because I'm thinking, why am I rushing? What is this? I don't, why? It doesn't help. Let me just slow down and think. And I think it's important to just highlight here the importance of having this space to think.
Yeah.
Because, you know, in our world, we're so fast paced, there's so much going on, there's so much changing that we often think that we get more done by making quicker decisions and moving quickly. When we realize actually, if you just slow down a bit and thought a bit about, or had the space and to think about things and the time to think about things, we'd actually get more done because we've strategically thought about things and made decisions where later on we don't need to undo things
Yeah.
or make
Yeah.
even more decisions because of whatever impacts that first decision may have made.
Hmm.
And the resilience to do that is just understanding that when things happen, it's not personal, not taking things personally.
Yeah.
Um,
Easier said than done sometimes, though.
it really is. It really
Mm.
is. Like, I'm quite visual, and sometimes I almost like take a step back. And this is what I'm saying about going inner.
Mm.
Trust in myself. So
Hmm.
even if I've done something and it may have been a mistake or it hasn't landed well with someone, and I may be getting the impact of that, let's put it like that, the
Yeah.
impact of that, I just think, okay, it's because for that person and how they're viewing it, this is how they're experiencing it. That has
Yeah.
no relevance or it doesn't change who I am. From their reaction doesn't change who I am and what my actual initial intention was. I
Mm.
can't control somebody else. I can
Which is
only
true.
control how I react. So I kind of use that as a way of developing my resilience because, yeah, again, it's about being authentic. If I've made a mistake, I'll say it.
Mm.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry that this is where I was coming from. And this is what I mean, trying to help people to understand where that decision was made from, the intention that I had at the time. It's so important. It's not just about the decision, the what. I think it's important to explain the why.
Now, you've mentioned before earlier about voice in education. So you founded that
Mhm.
to support middle leaders. Why did you see a need for this space? And what have you learned from the leaders you've worked with?
So the reason I started that is because the context here is that I work in a quite a large school, and so there's quite a number of middle leaders at our school. And our middle leaders, all of our middle leaders actually, were working in the classroom.
Okay.
So when we had our SLT meetings, what I realized is that the middle leaders are thinking about a burger. So they're the meat in the middle. They're dealing with, everything, the source, literally the source, and everything that below. So the classroom, the pupils, the parents, all of that. They're dealing with all of that on a daily basis. We all know how busy that can get. But
Mhm.
also then they're hearing from the SLT. It's a very difficult position to be in.
The most, I
Yeah.
believe, yeah, the middle leadership role is the most difficult because they're like the the driving force in a way, isn't it? Is that like the
Yeah.
engine of a school? Mm.
They really, really are. And it's a bit like when teachers and you say that about the TAs. Yeah, they are. The TAs and middle leaders are what keeps everything going. They're the ones that are on the floor doing it. They're putting the things in practice, but they're also trying to lead as well. They're
Yeah,
doing it all, they're juggling everything. So
yeah,
at some point, yeah, when you're juggling, at some point a ball's gonna drop, yeah. Right. I don't know about you, but I can't keep this going forever. Yeah.
true,
I'm not a
true.
magician. Yeah. So at some point, a ball's going to drop. It's not because they're not skillful.
Mm.
It's not because they're lapsed or whatever. So we've got to support them. They're making decisions again. Decisions here, decisions there, decisions there, decisions. At some point, we all make mistakes. We're going to do it. Now, I think it's important for them to understand that that's going to happen so they can get comfortable with that. Also
Hmm.
important for them to understand that, senior leaders do the same.
Yeah.
We make mistakes, but just for them really to feel supported and understand that there is no one right way. That's one of the main reasons why I set up Voice in Education, for them to hear, because through the podcast, they hear experiences of a variety of leaders. There's not one right way to become into senior leadership. There's not one way pathway to headship. We're all different. We all have different skills. And I just wanted to kind of put that forward really for middle leaders to understand, and also to support them through the coaching, to give them space to think, which is really important, and a space to
Hmm.
actually use their voice. And like one of the taglines is like there's power in your voice, and it all starts from a conversation. Because I remember when I was going through things, all I needed to do, and I go back to the thing about asking for help and how important that is. The
Yeah.
minute I actually had that conversation where I was actually asking for the support, everything changed.
Mm.
It's like the power of your voice. And then the power of your voice in terms of, yeah, you're a middle leader, and it's not about the title, is it? Like I remember saying when I was new to teaching, I'm new to teaching, so I'm an NQT, I'm new to teaching, but I'm not new to life.
True.
Do you know what I mean? Just this is a title that I have and the role that I have within this school, but I'm not new to life. So let's treat everyone as such. So yeah, it's about really voicing, giving them a voice so they feel comfortable, but also enabling other voices for them to hear so they know that there isn't one right way.
So a challenging question for you then in that case, moving from that. With the changes in education and the pressure schools face, what
Mm.
qualities do you think the next generation of school leaders will need the most?
Um, and I don't say this as a throwaway comment. I think the ability to connect and the ability to think. Now, I say that because we're all getting involved in technology. AI is here, doing a lot of thinking for us. For
Mhm.
a number of years, our phones have been thinking for us, and that is
Mhm.
continuing to do so, where some people can't remember their phone numbers of their nearest and dearest,
I
right?
know. Yeah, it's quite scary, hey?
Scary. So
Mhm.
everything's been happening for us, where I think it's important that we hold on to the skills of actually being able to think and to process our thoughts. They're two
Yeah,
different things, right?
yeah.
So, I think the ability to reflect, to process our thoughts, and to actually have the space to think.
Mm.
Being able to critically think, and I don't mean, like I say, I don't mean that flippantly, where I think there's so much news and information that's coming through now. Can we teach our young people to question things? Can we also teach them to empathize empathize with others and what they're going through? Just because they haven't experienced it and it's
Yes.
not happening to them
Hmm.
doesn't mean they can't have an understanding of how that may feel to others. And this is
Hmm.
what I mean when I'm talking about the connection. I think
Yeah.
connection, those what we call soft skills, and I don't know why we call them soft skills. They're very
Yeah,
important.
I'm not sure actually. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
they're crucial skills. And I'm not
Mm.
sure why they're soft and why the word soft. Anyway, just me being funny with language. I'm quite particular with language. Um, I think those skills are what's going to help our young people to be able to, one, cope and to also to be successful. Empathy, communication, critical thinking, and well, yeah, those things there really. And communication.
Okay, yeah, no, yeah, I agree. Do you, here's a bit of a cheeky question. I'm going to ask it anyway. Do you think that schools are currently preparing leaders for this type of future, for the skills that you say that they will need?
Are they preparing the leaders?
Mm.
Do you mean are they preparing the leaders to teach the young people these skills, or do you mean what do
It
you?
could be either way, but initially, in terms of the leaders, it's about lead. The whole emphasis is about leaders.
Mm.
And the question was framed about school leaders as well. What type of qualities that the next generation of school leaders would need? So, do you think that the next generation of school leaders, but basically the current teachers, are they being prepared in the way in which you're saying that they should be prepared? Yeah, all right. I just wanted to ask. Next question.
No, I want to answer because I think my face said it all. I think my face. No, I don't. I don't. I don't because I think so if I think about it honestly, we're all honest here. I think a lot of teachers, if you think, let's just strip it back, forget AI, let's just forget about AI. We think about technology. Some teachers are frightened of teaching technology because
Mhm.
they're not comfortable with it.
Correct.
Now, if they're not comfortable with it, they're not going to be able to teach it well,
Mm.
right? Now, if we add the layer then of that on top of AI, if
Hmm.
we're not keeping up with things and AI is moving fast,
Very fast. Yes.
yeah,
Very
doing a
fast.
lot of thinking for us, outthinking us even,
Mm.
outthinking us. So if we don't learn how to use AI, because it's great in certain contexts, if we don't learn how to use that well, we're going to get left behind and it's going to take over and we're going to forget how to even do the things we need to do. So our teachers now need to get comfortable with understanding that the pupils that they're teaching actually do know more than them.
Are you so when you say that, are you saying in regards to say like technology generally, AI specifically, or both?
I'm saying a bit of both, a bit
Mm.
of both. So
Mm.
there's a point where the teacher disseminates the information of this is whatever tool, this is how you use it. Within 2, 3 lessons, that student has gone beyond what that teacher has introduced and taken it on all different levels.
Yeah.
If you allow your class to be open and explore, right?
Yeah.
Where the great teachers allow that. Now, as a leader, you need to be comfortable within yourself to be able to recognize that, allow the students to be able to do that, and then probe them with the right questioning to develop that understanding. Yeah.
Mm.
Some teachers or leaders, if you take it back to what you're saying, some leaders aren't comfortable with that.
Mm.
So we're not ready. And I'm going to do the general sweeping statement. We're not ready to kind of be ready for the world that the young people are going into. Because if we have that resistance, one, not knowing how to teach it, steering away from teaching it well, and so on, we're not going to be able to develop, one, our students to be able to do it properly.
Hmm.
Two, they won't have the skills. And then in other ways, you're just not being able to lead effectively yourself and you're going to get left behind.
The direction in which you presented your answer was interesting because I did not expect that. But I think you're right in terms of the technology and how from the leadership to the teachers, it's really important to get on board with that in the context that is relevant and meaningful for the young people, even sort of like the whole school community, I think. Because I think also
Yeah,
there's a place for the families, carers and
yeah.
parents in this as well. Unless we take a stance in actually shaping that and determining that, yeah, we will be left behind collectively. Okay, so on to our very last question. So, looking back years from now, what do you hope educators and students will say was your greatest contribution to education and leadership?
I think really that I helped, I think about leaders and pupils and everyone. I think it's the same thing really, that I help them to understand who they are. So
Mm,
I helped to encourage them to be who they are and develop the skills, so that belief within themselves. Because
mm,
it's one thing knowing who you are and being secure in your identity and what you're good at. But it's another thing believing it and actually executing it, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that belief. Hence why I can see that you do coaching as well, because through leadership coaching, you really allow a person to, you allow a person to go inwards. It's like it's building stronger foundation by doing the inner work. I often talk about the inner work, but
Yeah.
when there's a different type of shift and energy, isn't there? Aura in a way of a person when they believe in themselves. It's like they claim the space, they claim what they're here to do. So yeah, that belief is
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
powerful.
But I hope that, some teachers and children can say that. And in fact, I have a wonderful story where a pupil, um, so he has come back. He came back, he found me on LinkedIn
Okay.
and he contacted me and we had a conversation. I'd say it's one of the best conversations I've ever had in my life.
Wow.
Yeah, because when I was privileged, and I say this, to teach him, obviously, and the class for 2 years. They were my, I can say this now, it doesn't matter, does it? They were my favorite class. Right. So I taught them for 2 years. They were absolutely fantastic. And he was in that class and he struggled. And I've done a podcast with him actually. He
Okay.
struggled and he came, so when he found me, his story is absolutely amazing. So he found me and he came back and said, Thank you for basically, in a nutshell, for believing in me and for
Mm,
actually understanding me. Because he
mm,
said that when he was 18, he was a footballer. He was in, I think it's Sweden or Tunisia or Switzerland, one of the two. He was there and he opened up his book with the message in it. He read my message and it got him through those challenging times.
wow.
18, he left at primary school, so yeah, primary school teacher. He left at year 6 and he read it at 18 and it still has an impact. And I was thinking, oh my gosh,
Mm.
these things that we're doing as teachers, we don't realize, even the little, like I say, the little things that are written down, how someone can come back and return to that. So yes. So he came back. Now he's said that I've inspired him to do the same. So now he's set up his own sports company.
Oh,
Going,
wonderful.
he's going into schools and teaching them how to be resilient, teaching them how to believe them in themselves. And I think, yes, he says, yes, he says, Miss Cushnie goes, yeah, Miss Cushnie, I'm coming around full circle. We've done it. We've done it.
I
I'm
love
coming
that.
around full circle. I was thinking, yeah, that's the legacy. So
Mm.
um, yeah, I want people to know that they can believe in themselves and achieve whatever they like, regardless of where they're coming from.
I think that anecdote is such a wonderful way to end this episode, and thank you again for everything you shared in this discussion and interview today, Kathleen. I really appreciate it. And for those of you that have joined us today, I hope you agree that has been a really powerful conversation with Kathleen, and I hope you're feeling as inspired as I am about the power or and impact of authentic leadership, the power of oracy, and the importance of leading through conversations. Now, if you want to connect with Kathleen and also hear about the voicing education interviews that Kathleen actually shared, I will share the details in the show notes. You can actually connect and follow Kathleen. I urge you to do so. So Until next time. Leadership isn't about having all the answers, it's about creating the space and the voices to be heard, including your own. Thank you for watching and see you again soon.
It's about having boundaries, because some teachers feel they can't say no. They can't say no to their line manager, or they can't say, and I help them talk about that, you know. So what should I do? You prioritize. So if a line manager comes and says, look, I need this report done by this, I'll say, okay, I've got this. What should I do? Prioritize. What should I do? It's not that, no, I'm not doing it. It's saying, okay, I need to manage my workload. I need to, for ECTs, they really feel under the cosh. Like they have to do every single thing that they're told. But it's about saying we need boundaries. That you are just, from the ancient literature, it says love others as you love yourself. And what we always forget is that it's a balanced equation. Loving others, love yourself, 50-50. Some of us, especially as teachers, although in the caring profession, we do a lot of we don't love ourselves. We have to learn how to be our own, and I very much believe to be an advocate, be your own best friend.